put together a little short presentation to deal with destructive testing on resistant spot welds. With more and more of them being used in the shops today, they're getting to be fully automatics, and guys are just assuming that they have good welds. Looks good, but under destructive testing, they don't. So just go through and show you a little simple process I came up with. If you saw this at SEMA a few years back, where Honda took a car and repaired it using OE procedures, and took a similar car, used non-OE procedures. For example, they used MIG welds where they were using spot welds. They sectioned where it wasn't supposed to be sectioned, and they crashed it. And if you take a look at the intrusion of the metal into the cabin on the non-OE repair part, it was pretty substantial. I took these from the headlines. As you can see, that this is just a tip of the iceberg. You're going to see more of these dealing with lawsuits. What does Toyota say? It says here, they don't want you to just look at a weld, they want you to test it. It's right there in their repair manual. This is Audi's position. Again, they even tell you how to make a calculation on it. This is Nissan. Again, they tell you that they want a destructive test on all of their welds. Shop owners, how many of you guys are doing it on all your cars? All your cars. Every time you use a welder. Yeah. How are you, let me ask you this, how are you validating it? Gentleman back there, you're new.
Pulling up what the manufacturer, like Ford, has published what they want the nugget size to be.
But how do you validate it?
Tearing it apart.
Do you have pictures?
Yes.
You attach it to the files?
Yes. Marcos?
Ron? Barry?
Yes, sir. Same thing, photos.
Yeah. Here's Honda's position. Again, we have testing. So what are we going to do? So we cut two pieces of damaged sheet metal, excess of sheet metal from a replacement part. You want to follow the OE procedures on the coupons to be used. So if you are using adhesive on your test coupon, you want to use adhesive. If the manufacturer says bare metal, then you're going to use bare metal. If some say leave an E-coat in process, you're going to leave an E-coat. But you need to test it as going on the vehicle. Make sure that the coupons, SCRS, the electrodes are in contact, so you want to make sure that they're clean. So here we got to measure the thickness of the two pieces of sheet metal. I put a little something up here. If you have two different thicknesses, you want to put them together, divided by 2 to come up with your thickness. What I did is I left a little ½ space between the top coupon and the bottom coupon. I also isolated the clamps. I didn't want to act as a shunt. So I put some electrical tape there. I put one spot weld in the middle of the coupon. Now these pliers, these are what are called V-jaws. And what they were designed for is put these pliers around the bolt to loosen them up to hold it. Well, what I did is I took them and I put them so that the round edges go and you can peel them apart right in your stall. And I've done up to 1.4 millimeters thickness on each panel and broke them apart. So this can be done right in the stall. You don't have to have a vise. You can see that here was my tear out. And then we measured it. This was a little over, when I took an average of the whole size, it was 5.25 millimeters. And this was an old formula we used to have in the industry. If what you would do is you take the thickness times 5. Now, if you look at some of the formulas, they say the square root of the thickness times this and that comes out to about 5 times. So if you don't have an exact procedure, we could use 5 times. So these pieces of coupons were 0.8 millimeters. So it came out to 4 with the math, and this was a little over 5.25, so this would be a good spot weld. Again, I measured, I put the RO number on it, date and the technicians, and attached it to the file. And now you're protected. So if you had to stand up and say, yeah, did I do it? Yeah, here it is. And it's a good way for your technicians to do it. You know, what we did is I made up a little kit for a couple of shops of mine with these little clamps and a pair of calipers in there, and they're testing all their welds now. And the next thing we need to look at is doing with our MIG welders. Want to add something to that? Please?
It's, I got something. Hang on. It's seriously, it's super time consuming because depending on what you're doing, what part of the vehicle you're working on, you can have 3 or 4 different welders that you need to set up and test. You know, you get into the bronze, or if you've got places where you can't access for the squeeze type resistance, and you've got steel that you need in certain places, you've got different thicknesses and stuff. So it's super time consuming, and you know it's not included. So if as we've spent a lot of time kind of researching how much time it takes a technician on average, and I think that's something within the industry it's really overlooked. And I feel like that's why a lot of technicians maybe don't do it as they should because they're not being compensated for it, because there's a disconnect between the estimator and the technician as far as what's really involved and how involved it is. So,
Michael, it seemed like you said set up and test in one sentence. Is that one sentence or is that 2 sentences?
I mean, I guess it's two processes. So. And you've also got to consider when you talk about the destructive testing, the setup of the welder in and of itself, depending on the material that you're using, may require them to change liners and wire. And I mean, it can be super involved. Like I said, from car to car, if you spend any time at all researching it, you'll realize what a time sink it is for your technician, and especially if he's not being compensated for it.
And if they don't, then the vehicle is the test panel, isn't it?
Not,
You mean the first 5 welds on the quarter panel are the test panel?
and that happens. You see that all the time. I mean, they start welding and they'll make an adjustment, weld a couple more, and it makes you want to pull your hair out.
Yes, Brett.
Toby, would there be any advantage or disadvantage to using welding blanks versus using the old panel off of the vehicle to test weld with?
Of course. You know, I use brand new pieces here, but you know, we don't know what is it high strength steel? Is it mild steel? Is it a little bit larger, a little bit large? You know, if you have a blank that's only 0.7 millimeters and using 0.9, could make a big difference. So, you know, you want to use what's on the car.
Remember, some of the OEs actually call out specifically what they want used, what part of the car for the test.
Well, that I couldn't tell you.
Well, individual panels can vary in thickness too, if it's a tailor welded panel.
When you consider too, there are areas on certain vehicles where they require adhesive, so it's weld bonding versus you're going to be making other resistant spot welds on that vehicle without, you know, any bonding material. So maybe there's weld through primer. So you really start to think about the preparation process involved in just the testing of the welders. It's significant.
2 things. Aaron took my stuff and put it onto the SCRS website. So if you want to look at it, it's there. We also have a video.
Yep.
Right?
So to Toby's point about the document, all these pictures that you see, it went into a 2-sided, you know, you could print it out 1 page, print it 2-sided, laminate it. It's intended to be a worksheet that you would really keep at the machine as a reminder for the technician of the steps involved in going through the process of actually testing the welds. You can actually find it on the STRS website if you go to our resources tab and then down to technical resources. It was just added on Friday to the site. So that's available. Anybody can, you know, download it, print it, keep it. We'll certainly push that out probably via press release when we release these videos. There's also going to be a 3-part series. One is 15 minutes, one is 12 minutes, one is another 6 minutes that go through not just the setup and not just the setup and the testing, but also the power elements and some other aspects that you need to consider.
Power.
Coatings, the protective coatings, and preparation of some of those processes. So kind of similar to some of the other videos that we've done in the series, these will be released within the next month and available for the industry to utilize to help educate. And we really encourage, share them with Christy's already shared them with everybody in her shop, but for everybody else, share them with everybody in your shop, share them with your peers, with your networks. We produce this stuff for free for the industry with the hopes that you take it and share it with others and lift the industry up as a result of passing this information around.
Any other questions?
No, very good.